Nice to
Hi.
meet you. What's your name?
Kenia. My name
Kenia.
is Kenia. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And where were you born?
I was born in Cienfuegos City.
Okay, in
It's
Cuba?
in the center of Cuba.
Of Cuba. Okay, great. Well, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure.
And what did you study at university?
I study industrial engineer.
Industrial engineer. Okay. And did you ever work as an engineer?
Yes. When I get my degree, my diploma, I start to work and I work with the government 5 years.
For
more or
5
less.
years. Okay,
At
great.
first, I work as the commercial manager,
Mm-hmm.
and then in another enterprise in the quality department.
Okay. Great. And then what are you doing now?
Well, actually now after I moved to Havana for 2 years,
Okay.
and I started to study to work in hotels and restaurants.
Okay.
So now I'm working as a waitress in one restaurant in Trinidad. That
Okay.
is my the city of my parents when they was born. So I work in a restaurant and also as a local guide.
As a local tour guide.
Tour guide.
Okay. And you're definitely a great guide.
Thank you.
We have really enjoyed working with you.
Thank you.
Great. Well, I wanted to ask you some questions. I wanted to talk about healthcare, since that's what many of my students study. And can you tell me a little bit about healthcare in Cuba?
Okay. When the revolution triumphed, the president of Cuba, they built a lot of hospitals
Okay.
and also schools. So we have a healthcare system that we receive the care, the
Yes.
healthcare for
Yes.
free.
So it's all free.
Yes.
Great.
But actually, the last years we have after the COVID, we have the crisis, the economic crisis increased here in the country. So
An economic crisis. Yeah,
Economic
since
crisis.
since post-COVID. Yes.
yes. So almost we don't have any medication for our families if they are sick. And in my case, my father had the kidney cancer,
Kidney cancer. Okay. And what happened?
so he needed surgery,
You need
and
surgery.
we wait almost 1 year to get the surgery.
Okay.
But the most important thing is that here in Cuba we don't have the medication. The doctors don't have the medication, so I needed to ask to one cousin of mine that lived in the United States that sent me all the instruments and all the materials that were necessary
For the
do
surgery.
the surgery.
So they sent you the medication and all the tools, all the instruments, everything you would need, everything the surgeon would need to actually perform the operation.
And actually, after my father gets the surgery, they needed to be there in the hospital for almost a month. And with that instruments and products
Yes.
we get, we also help to other people that need the surgery. So we
Oh, you shared?
share it with them because
Oh,
there is there were no instruments and nothing.
so for someone who, so first of all, your father had to wait a year to get the surgery?
Yes, so they send us a big amount of these kind of instruments, and when he was recovering
Recovering, yes.
in the hospital, some of the patients that were near us needed some vendas,
So band-aids, bandages and things?
bandages, nails, so we
You shared.
We shared.
And is it difficult for someone to send all the surgical tools to Cuba? Are there taxes you have to pay, or?
In other moments, I think, but now it's easier to send some medications to Cuba because the crisis that
Because of the crisis?
yes.
Okay.
So it's like a humanitarian help, and the government allows that people send medication and this kind of help for the families.
So if we were to organize an effort in the United States to send medication and whatever tools and supplies might be needed, that would actually be a good thing. It would
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
some of the.
It's going to help, but I don't know if the government allows you to send directly to the government of Cuba this kind of help.
We'd have to send maybe to a private person.
Yes,
Okay.
and that person can
Can
help
distribute?
to
Okay.
distribute.
And are they? So they're the doctors and the nurse. There are many doctors and nurses, right? And
Yes.
okay, and they're highly trained, right? They're very well trained in
Yes,
Cuba.
yes.
Yes. And what happens? You had said sometimes the doctors are there's the very highly trained personnel are sent to like Venezuela to work.
Yes, they send it some medics. It's like a humanitarian help. to
A
other
humanitarian
countries,
effort. Uh-huh.
but it's paid to the Cuban government, no?
Okay.
Um,
So the Cuban healthcare workers are sent to Venezuela, and Venezuela will pay the Cuban government their salary.
yes.
Okay.
I think that sometimes the pay of the salary, so the government of Cuba doesn't pay the total amount of the salary that the Venezuela pays to each doctor. So
Okay.
they keep a percent. I don't know if
They keep-
70% or
70% of
Yes.
what they're actually paid, the
I'm
government
not
keeps.
certainly sure.
Right,
but,
exactly.
yeah.
You're not sure.
But it's not the total salary that they receive from the other countries that the government of Cuba pay to the doctors that are.
Okay, so when the Cuban doctors go to Havana, to Venezuela, wherever they're going to go, they'll get something comparable to a salary they would receive in Cuba, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not to what they would receive in actually that country.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. And what happened? Let me ask you a question about COVID. So when COVID came to Trinidad, so we're in Trinidad now on the coast, and what actually happened in that year? So there was you had said the first person was an Italian who came, and
Yes, in March of 2020, we have I think the last tourists here in the city that
Mhm.
were Italian, 3 Italian, and one of them were sick with the COVID, and that's how started the.
That was the first
COVID,
case.
The first case in Cuba.
oh, it was the whole first case in Cuba was in Trinidad, was here. Okay. And then what happened? Then shortly thereafter, the country closed or
Yes,
closed down?
In different periods, the city was closed, so we can go out or in the city, and also in different parts of the country depends the levels of infection
Mm-hmm.
by COVID. We can go out of our houses or neither go to work, so we have only work the workers of the hospital.
The hospital workers could work, but no one else.
No one else. So young people distribute work as humanitarian work.
Okay, the younger
voluntary
people?
work.
Okay.
And the young people take the food and send it or give it to the older
people
people.
who had no way of getting the food themselves.
Yes.
So they helped distribute the food.
Yes.
And so how long did that last? So you said about March until
March to November.
November. Okay, it was very tightly controlled.
And also then in 2021 was also
Another wave of COVID?
Yes.
Okay.
Another wave, and we also have many regulation in the hours that we can go out of our houses, and the older people doesn't go out any time. And Cuba creates a vacuum for the
So
COVID.
Cuba created your own vaccination.
Yes.
And did everyone get vaccinated? Most people in
Yes.
Cuba?
At first, they start with the older people and the children, and after that, the young people.
The younger
we
people.
get 3 doses of Abdala, that is the name of the
It's called
vacuum.
Dala?
Abdala.
Abdallah, okay.
And after that, we get another 4th vacuum, like a reforce.
The 4th, yep. And so most people are vaccinated at least 4 times.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Oh, terrific. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Kenya, for sharing your experiences. I appreciate that.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
And how old are you?
33.
33.
Years old.
Okay. Thank you, Kenya.